Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jim Bourne from Livingston, Montana. Say it's September 22nd of 2025, and right now I'm east of town. I'm way out of the city limits. I'm out at the area where I like to plink with my 22 Magnum. Lately, the last two videos I've made, I've been out here plinking around and breaking in a brand new Savage B22 a Winchester Magnum. It's called a WMR, Winchester Magnum Rimfire is the real true designation. Okay, but I'm going to try something a little different today. I'm going to try to record some slow-mo. I'm going to shoot at some gallon jugs and some different containers that's got water in them, and I'm going to try to capture all this in slow-mo if I can. Last night it rained like crazy. Thank God the wind's not blowing too hard right now, so I don't know what kind of a day I got here, but I'll give her a go anyway. So come along with me. Yee-haw! Very well then. Let me show you what the object is today. Okay, right here, all these gallon jugs and this little guys, these little fellers back here. And that little guy right there, and like I say, there's a gallon jug there, gallon jug there, gallon jug there, and they're full of water and they've been glued shut. The little ones haven't been glued shut, but that's a quart jar right there underneath that fit jar. It's a quart. That's been glued shut. And same with that gallon jug there. And that white jug, and then that white jug there. It brought me out my good old trusty tripod. And like I say, I'll be trying to run a slow-mo here. That stuff is kind of hard for a guy like me that's working alone. But here's a good shot of my pickup, and up there on top of the hill, that's where I'll be shooting from. It's right around 50 yards or so. That's where I've been working out from breaking this 22 in. So, yeah, got a little water out here because, like I say, it rained pretty heavy last night. Yeah, this is my target area, and I have a reason why I'm doing this, and it involves towards the end of this file, I got a little bit to say about Charlie Kirk. Nothing negative or none of that, but I got to get my 2 cents worth in, I'd have to say. So anyway, let me get about the business of setting that slow-mo camera up. Well, it's actually this camera I got in my hand, but I'm going to put it on that tripod right there and see what I can come up with. Okay. Now, if I'd stop stumbling around here and stop burning daylight, maybe I could get something done. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm coming at you pre-edit. In other words, I'm blabbering before I edit that slow-mo sequence, because that was a long-winded deal. I hit every one of them plastic bottles, if you will, in one shot from 50 yards. But the important thing is the destructive, what you've seen as far as the destruction of those bottles goes, how violently they exploded, if you will, and whatnot have you. I haven't even watched all of the slow-mo because there's a lot of it. You know, I only watched 3 bottles, the smallest ones, get destroyed. So I don't exactly know at this point in time what I'm going to do about that, but I got to go home and edit this mess. So I apologize right off the get-go here if shooting those bottles and stuff like that got long-winded. I'm gonna try everything I can think of to I want to be able to capture the whole thing, because I went to a lot of trouble to do this. So I want to capture the explosion of all 6 bottles. So anyway, I'm burning daylight. Let me get on with the show here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, to get right down to the meat and potatoes of this video, there are several reasons why I made this video. But one of the reasons is because of that assassination that happened to Charlie Kirk. Now, before I even say anything here or get all wound up and whatnot, I did not know that guy. I didn't follow him. When I say I didn't know him, that's what I mean. I just didn't know anything about the guy, where he come from, what he stood for, or anything. But believe you me, in the last 10 days or so, ever since he got murdered, assassinated, I got well indoctrinated on his life and whatnot have you through the internet, TV, and all that. And I made sure that I watched everything. Well, I watched everything out of curiosity because it struck me really odd how this nice-looking fella, young fella, could have got himself terminated, murdered. And, you know, look, I don't mean to brag here or anything like that, but I'm 73 years old. I've been hunting and fishing in the state of Montana for 60 years. And what bothers me about this Charlie Kirk business, getting right down to it, is him getting shot in the neck. Look, I brought this is my favorite cartridge. This is what I hunt with. This is what I've always hunted with. It's a brother, if you will, or a sister to an .06, but this is a 270. It's got the same exact case as a 30-06, but it's just got a 27 caliber bullet. It shoots smaller bullets, in other words. Now, this is neck down to 27 caliber. 30-06 is 30 caliber, but I've been around. Okay, I have taken 50 mule deer in my day, at least 50 mule deer, and a lot of them are bucks. Okay, I've taken 5 elk. I haven't done so well on the elk, but I've been a pretty good mule deer hunter, you know. But just to give you an example of what my concern is here, is one year I was hunting up in the Pioneer Mountains over there by Butte, Montana, okay? And I was way the heck and gone out of the camp, you know, way up on the side of this mountain, and I jumped a cow elk, and she took off running broadside to me, and all I had a chance to do was just up, get some hair in my scope and pulled the trigger, and as fate would have it, a round clipped her right on the spine and dropped her behind a log. Okay, she kept raising her head up like this, and I had to jack another round in and get myself squared around, get her back in the scope again, and she was behind this log laying there about, 30, 40 yards away or something. On the third time that she bobbed her head up like that, I put a round right there, right in back of her ear. You know, put her out of her misery and all this other stuff. Okay, I went over there and I inspected the damage, if you will, or whatever. Us hunters, I've seen bullet wounds, if you will, every shape that you can imagine. But anyway, I held that cow elk, his head up like this, and all I could see was a hole about like that. It put a little tiny 27 caliber hole on the side of the neck that I shot her, but then a hole about that big on the other side of the neck. And I can guarantee you that an elk, all the muscle and everything and the glands and everything that they have in their neck is about 6 to 8 to 10 times bigger, 100%, 200% stronger than any man walking on the face of this planet. Okay, here's my burden. There is no way in God's green earth that Charlie Kirk got hit with a round out of a .06. It's not possible. I mean, today I wanted to bring notice on what this little 22 could do right here. You know, I wanted to entertain you folks like that. Well, look at this. Look at this compared to this. And think about what I'm saying. An 06 is a very... If Charlie would have got hit in the neck with an 06, and I watched the bloody stuff, I watched it all, it would have pretty much taken his head off. I know what my 270 can do, what my 06 wannabe can do. I shoot these silver tips right here. This is a very soft bullet, and that's another thing. That's another thing that people haven't been talking about, and that's bullets. The type, look, I think that he was professionally hit. Somebody, he had a professional hit on him, and whoever zeroed in on him was using a smaller caliber, and they had a bullet that was very soft, one of these kind of bullets that would penetrate into his neck and kind of explode. That's what I'm saying. That's what this round right here, this silver tip that I got, it's a 130 grain bullet. This thing opens up very, very fast. It doesn't explode, but it gets the business done. I've harvested enough big game owls, and I've done my own butchering over the years. I've never had anybody butcher my animals. Like I say, I've taken at least 50 mule deer and 5 elk. It's either 5 or 7. I can't remember now, But today, what you were saying is just a little 22 Magnum and with a hollow point. That's pretty. This bullet opens up very, very fast, and I keep seeing all this information about him getting shot in the neck, and people are doing all these surveys and everything like that. But not too many people are talking about bullets, the kind of bullets, because bullets in this day and age come in all kinds of configurations. Soft, bronze tips, lead tips, you name it. But I think Charlie got hit with a smaller round that went in his neck, kind of exploded, and there you have it. I cannot buy the fact that he got smacked in the neck with a 30-06. And yeah, I know about the breast or the plate on his chest or whatever have you, and the idea that a 30-06 hit him and it bounced off that and hit him in the neck, a ricochet shot, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. If he would have got hit with an 06 on them safety, whatever they are, them plates, it would have knocked him out of that chair. I have been around 06s all my life. My brother used to have one. I've hunted with guys that, I just prefer this because it's very, very accurate, very, very fast, and I don't need a real big bullet for what I'm doing. This is 130 grain. This is all I've ever used. I've messed around with different grain weights in this 270, but they don't fly as well as this guy right here. But like I say, this bullet right here is a sister or a brother to the 06. But look at what you can think about what I did today, what I tried to demonstrate, and then marry your thoughts up to this right here. There's no way that Charlie got hit with this. There's something else, and I can't sit here and tell you who done what and all that stuff. That's, but he got messed up with the wrong people. He ticked off the wrong people, and I think somebody put a professional hit on him. There's the destruction that I seen on his neck was not what a 30-06 would do. I know this from 60 years of hunting, bagging big game, and butchering big game. 60 years. I'm not just making this stuff up. And I consider myself I don't hunt much anymore because I'm old. But back in my younger day, I did a lot of hunting. A lot of hunting and a lot of fishing. I sure did. So that's the main thing that I wanted to talk about. I hope I got my thought across here, but there's just no way that that, and that's another thing. Most .6s use bigger bullets than 130 grain out of a 270. They use like 160 grain, I think. 180 grain is real popular. There's no way that he could have got hit with one of them big 30-06 bullets. Oh, it's not from what I've seen. There was something else going on there. Okay, anyway, I hope... I just had to get this stuff off my chest. I didn't know Charlie, but I figured this was the least I could do. And I'm not trying to, put any garbage on him or his grave or any of that stuff, But there's so many conspiracy theories on the internet as far as his demise goes and that killing goes and everything. It's incredible. This is the only thing that I want to talk about is that he did not get killed by an .6. That whole .6 thing ain't settling with me. That whole story of the government's laying out. See, that the government, I'm a Vietnam veteran, and I'm going to tell you what the government does. They cheat and lie and steal. That's what they do. I've said that on my channel forever. I never trust the government. No way, no. They can get up there and blab all they want to about they're going to do this and they're going to do that. No, I'm going to tell you what they're going to do. They're going to lie and spend your money. They get you to look in one direction when they're doing something over here. Diversion is what the government's good at. Diverting your attention from the truth. Now, you can just... Mark that on that. I said that on this day. Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I got to go. Well, I guess this video wouldn't be complete unless I put in a plug for this rifle here. Like I say, this rifle is a Savage B22. That's what it's called. It's one of their later models. It isn't real expensive. I got into this for a $300 bill. I bought it from a gun shop over in Manhattan, Montana, a little tiny homespun business over there, so my son-in-law does some work for him, so, it was kind of a family deal. But anyway, just for craps and giggles, for people that might want to know, this has got a Burris scope on it. It's a 4.5 power times 14 power. And I've been shooting it at around 6-7 power, but it's working out to be a pretty doggone good scope, a pretty good combination rifle and scope. It's got a 42 millimeter lens, of this objective lens right here. So this is a pretty much of a tack driver in my humble opinion. I got a little cheek pad on here to give me a little bit more, to weld me up to the cheek a little bit better, This stock on here, the back of this stock is a little bit small for me because I'm a pretty big guy. I'm 6'5" and 260 pounds, and so there's a lot of me. Ask my wife, she'll tell you. No, just kidding, strike that. Anyway, yeah, this is a pretty nice little 22. I just thought I'd put a jab in here. Like I say, it's a 22 WMR. That stands for Winchester Magnum Rimfire. It's a bolt action jobber. Holds 10 rounds. Got a little cartridge right here. Matter of fact, I got a few rounds in there. A little cartridge, So, yeah, okay, I better go shut this off and go do something more useful. Anyway, after all this hoopla and carrying on and making these different scenes and everything, I come to the conclusion that I forgot to say goodbye. And well, more importantly, I forgot to thank you people. But if you hung in here for the rest of watch this whole entire video, you deserve a medal. 'Cause I know how it goes here on YouTube. I've been on YouTube for a long time, Sometimes it's best to make these videos just as short as you can, but that's not what happened with this one. But anyway, thank you very much for your time. Take it easy. We shall see you on down the trail, and adios, my friends.